Don't touch that dial. You're tuned in to the Dread Podcast Network.
Welcome to Development Hell. For every horror movie that hits VOD, countless others end up DOA. Development Hell is the podcast dedicated to unearthing these cursed horror productions. We're going to find out what went wrong, and then decide if these titles still stand a shot at the green light. I am your host, Josh Corngut. I am a filmmaker in Toronto, Canada. This podcast is a proud member of the Dread Podcast Network.
Fear loves company, so pull up a chair and get lost in Dread TV, the new channel streaming horror movies 24/7 on Dread Central. So what are you waiting for? Dread TV is free. Tune in to dreadcentral.com/dread-tv to start watching now, if you dare.
Blasters. Okay, so welcome everybody to a brand new episode of Development Hell. Today we have a very special episode. We are digging into the fourth and never made re-animator film entitled House of Re-Animator. Today we have a very special returning guest judge. We have Jules Bruyn. You may remember Jules from a number of episodes in the past. We did Jaws 3D. We did The Crooked Man. Jules, how's it going?
Hi, it's good. Thanks for having me back.
Oh my god. So for those who may not remember you, how dare they, but can you reintroduce yourself to the Development Hell audience?
Sure. So I'm Jules. I'm Josh's best friend for a very, very, very long time, like 13 years, maybe. Anyways, I am a counselor specializing in addictions, mental health, and trauma, based out of Toronto. And I am not really a horror fan, but am forced into the horror world due to Josh.
And what has that journey been like for you?
I'm gonna say up and down. Sometimes I love it, and then sometimes it terrorizes me, and I have nightmares for days and days. But gotta say, Re-Animator was a fun, campy ride. So
yeah. So as I've mentioned earlier, today's episode is going to be featuring the fourth unmade Re-Animator film. So Jules, what's your general relationship with the Re-Animator movies? Before today, had you heard of them? Had you seen them? What were they to you?
So I kind of heard of it once in the documentary
In Search of Darkness?
In Search of Darkness, thank you, yes. So that's the only time I'd ever heard of them. And I loved that documentary. Shout out to whoever did that. It was phenomenal. And I wanted to see it because of that documentary. They made it seem really kind of gross and creepy and all that stuff. But that's all I've ever known of it. I've never watched it.
Until now.
Until today.
In preparation for this episode, I did give you the homework of checking out the first Re-Animator film. So if you don't mind, I might give you a little bit of backstory on where this, the story for Re-Animator came from.
I would love that.
Yeah, so it was originally written as a story by the author H.P. Lovecraft. Are you familiar with the dude?
Of course. I did not know this was an H.P. Lovecraft story.
It is. What's your relationship or your impressions of what H.P. Lovecraft is?
So I'm not a big H.P. Lovecraft person, obviously, because I'm not really a horror person. But I know how renowned he is and how important he is to horror and all things sort of monster. But I also know that I think he's got some racism in him and some Nazi stuff. So not so happy with that. But yeah,
about Nazi stuff, it could be, but not to the best of my knowledge. But definitely a racist.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, an interesting fellow. Racism
aside.
Yeah, it's hard to put racism aside. So Lovecraft is best known for the creation of what is known as the Cthulhu mythos.
Right.
So if you've ever heard of Cthulhu, this is where it comes from. H.P. Lovecraft is known for creating really frightening, intangible, otherworldly, intergalactic evils. So
Mm.
evils that are so grandiose and so monstrous and so like on a different level that they're impossible to describe, that they're impossible to comprehend. And in a lot of the stories, if people do end up comprehending these great monstrosities, they would go insane because the human mind is just not built for this kind of stuff. A lot of them have evils that are deep in outer space, in like the great unknown. A lot of the other stuff sometimes take place in the depths of the ocean. The big thing for H.P. Lovecraft was the fear of the unknown, and I think you kind of get itty bitty bits of that in Re-Animator.
Totally, that's really cool because when I watched Reanimator, it felt like just like a take on Frankenstein. It didn't, but now sort of knowing that lens, it kind of is a cooler add to the concepts.
Well, it's funny that you say that because H.P. Lovecraft actually wrote Re-Animator, or Herbert West Re-Animator, as the short story is titled,
Mm.
as a satire on Frankenstein in a way, which
Okay.
makes me think he was probably just a woman hater and was like, a woman wrote a good, scary story? How dare
Yeah,
she?
you, Miss Shelley. Yeah.
It's just my impression of the situation.
Yeah.
But his short story, which is Herbert West Re-Animator, came out in October of 1921 and then was released in subsequent issues until June 1922. So it was a serialized story, a part of the amateur production or publication house Homebrew. And then,
Okay.
of course, it was the basis for the 1985 horror film Re-Animator and its sequels. So, yeah, Re-Animator was followed by 2 sequels. We had Bride of Re-Animator 5 years later. And then in 2003, there was a Sci Fi Channel sequel known
Oh.
as, yeah, Beyond Re-Animator. So,
Oh.
yeah, so this is a franchise hunt. There's a lot going on in the world of
Nice.
the Re-Animator. Before we get, into the weeds of the first film, I'm
Yes.
wondering, in your viewpoint as someone that watched it for the first time recently, what is it about? What would you say Re-Animator is? What's the synopsis?
Synopsis, as best as I can,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
is we start off at a teaching hospital, and there's this like young, plucky, going to be doctor
Mhm.
who is dating the dean's daughter. But he's really great and has a lot of potential. So it's like, okay. But one of the teachers there is like kind of a bad old man who like has very like thinks he's like God basically. And then, or like he's the best doctor ever. And then a new guy comes from, he was doing like some tests in Switzerland and he comes there to be a student, but he already has lots of ideas and he's like fighting all the doctors. Like, no, you actually don't know what's going on. And it turns out he's doing that because he's created a serum that can reanimate dead people. So
Mhm.
he then reanimates dead cats to show people, like, look, it can reanimate. And this young plucky doctor and him, which is his name's Mr. West, get together and they try to reanimate humans. That's a mistake because when they reanimate humans, they're crazy and that's a bad word. They're wild and wanting to beat you up and kill you. Um,
Yeah.
and horror ensues. And that's the concept.
Jules, that's pretty damn good, actually, I
Thanks.
have to say. Yeah, I think you did a great job. So
Woo.
originally, it was devised to be a stage show by Stuart Gordon, who did direct the film. It didn't end up really going down that way, and later it was developed into a half-hour television pilot. The script for that half-hour television pilot was sort of reworked and did become this feature film. So Re-Animator was the first collaboration between director Stuart Gordon and actor Jeffrey Combs. They would also go on to create and release From Beyond, a film that was released about a year later in 1986. So this quickly became a cult classic. You can't really go far in the world of horror without sort of jumping into the topic of Re-Animator. So
Okay.
you said you heard about it for the first time watching In Search of Darkness, or was it the first time you like saw bits and pieces of it?
No, I'd never heard of it before.
You'd never heard of it
Or,
before.
or it's possible you've talked about it and I just didn't even like take it in. But I, yeah.
Yeah. your horror experience is narrowed a little bit to your friends that like
Yes.
horror, because that's where that's where it's being forced on you from.
Yes.
And this isn't one. I think I might have been late to the game to Re-Animator. I think I may have seen it a little bit later in life, so I was never like obsessed with it. If I had seen it when I was younger, maybe that would have happened. So this first film, released October 18th, 1985, grossed about $2 million in North America, and its budget was, I think, like under $1 million. So it did
Oh, wow.
it did quite well. It was this indie horror phenomenon and developed pretty soon into a cult classic. It stars Jeffrey Combs as Herbert West, who you probably could have guessed I've got it for. He's
Yeah.
truly my type.
I knew you would be in love with him, but I even thought he was hot, and I'm not
Yeah.
normally into your type.
Yeah, see, you sent me a little thing being like, "Oh, he's so hot," and I really thought you were just like,
No, I really thought he was hot.
really.
I
So
did.
so we would all agree that, because I don't know if my listeners know what my type is, but
Oh,
would you say this falls into the category of my typical type?
exactly your typical type.
So what is my typical type?
Like
Would you say?
like pretty nerdy brown hair. Think Tobey Maguire. Think Harry Potter. What's his real name? Oh my
Daniel
God. Daniel
Radcliffe.
Radcliffe. Sorry.
Yeah.
All those Elijah Wood. Like these are the
Yeah,
dreams.
they have a certain kind of floopy, floppy brown
Yes.
hair.
Floopy brown hair.
And
Typically, I think you
glasses.
like a glasses moment. Yeah.
Yeah,
But you
yeah, I
like them
do.
sort of like, not pretty, but I don't know what to say.
I
Like
wouldn't call them these
pale, or I don't
pretty.
know. There's something about, no, you're right.
Tired, maybe.
Tired is probably better.
Yeah.
Fragile. I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah, like, just like they look like they've been
They've,
smoking too much and they
well,
haven't been sleeping enough.
because they've seen something,
Yeah, fairly recently. They've seen
Yeah,
something recently and it didn't go well for them.
No.
Yeah, so definitely in love with Mr. Herbert West,
Mhm.
problematic babe. And this film also happens to star Bruce Abbott. So Bruce plays Dr. Dan Kane, who you were talking, the sort of plucky up and comer who gets thrust into this world of, yeah. So Bruce Paul Abbott is, I think, mostly known for doing these horror films. So he was in this one, he was in the sequel, and I believe he was also in Beyond, which was the follow-up with the same team. And
I
then
thought
the
he kind
last,
of looked like Bruce Campbell, which I thought was kind of interesting. I don't know. I saw
you
some.
thought he looked like Bruce Campbell?
I thought he looked a little bit like him. I don't know, like a young
That's
Bruce
weird.
Campbell. Okay, whatever, fine.
Yeah, I guess young Bruce Campbell was like strapping and
Yeah.
very
Like
leading young
jaw, really
man.
big jaw. I don't know. There was a similarity to me, but anyways.
This guy was a little too pretty
Mm-hmm.
for Bruce Campbell, in my opinion, but I like the comparison. Same first name.
Yeah.
And then the third noteworthy star, I would say, is Barbara Crampton. So Barbara Crampton came up as a bit of a scream queen in the 80s. She starred in Re-Animator. She's in tons and tons of horror movies. She's in your favorite, Chopping Mall. And then a classic. And then she's also had a bit of a resurgence, more than a bit of a resurgence in the horror world over the last 10 years, starting with her supporting role in
You're Next.
Good job, Jules.
I Googled it.
You Googled
I
it.
Googled her because I was like, how do I know her? And then I realized she's in like a million things, but also
She's like a big cultural icon, like right now in the
Well,
horror world. She's really active right now.
Shout out to my brother Hendrik. He was over while I was watching it, and I was like, "This girl's so familiar," and he was so offended that I didn't know who she was, because he was like, "You need to know her. She's like a horror queen."
She's the horror queen for sure, and she still looks so incredible, and she is just blindingly beautiful in this movie.
Stunning in this movie.
Yeah, I do think she had some regrets surrounding this performance, and I can imagine why.
Around like having
Being
a
exploited,
disembodied head like
stuck on your boob. Yeah, she was exploited in this film, outright, and she didn't return for the sequel. Can't imagine why.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So as I mentioned, according to his letters, Lovecraft wrote the story as a parody of Mary Shelley's Frankenstein. And there are numerous references to Frankenstein throughout, as well as hints of poetry of Samuel Taylor Coleridge, which was what Shelley was known to do in her story. How did you feel walking away from this film?
So I will say the one thing that I want to know is like, was it deliberately silly? Like
No.
it. No. Okay.
Okay, you know what? I can't say that. I can't say that. Maybe yes? I don't
It
know.
felt
I don't
like
know.
so cuckoo town banana pants that I felt like it had to be, was it winking? Like, when like at the very end when like he has all these like zombie people and like then the guts are like strangling him. I was like, this is like beyond. Like,
Yeah,
was this
you're
ever
right.
scary?
It
Like,
is very heightened. And in the very first scene where it's like a cold open, we don't understand what's going on.
yeah.
And he's it looks like he's killed maybe his professor, and they said, "What have you done? You've killed him." And he said, "No, I gave him life."
Yes.
And then it snaps into the credits, and I was like, "Oh yes, I'm here for this movie." Maybe it is maybe it is supposed to be heightened or kind of campy based on some of these things that we're talking about now, because it
Even the
is wacky.
Yeah, like the performances even to me were like so over the top. That's why I said it was kind of soapy because it felt like they were being so like, I don't know, like every time the really bad guy was like, I don't know if he was like hypnotizing people or something, but he was like, you should be afraid. Like it was so ridiculously over the top. I don't know.
It's kind of like Hammer horror esque,
Mm-hmm,
it's like
hmm.
very big, very theatrical. I don't know. I think it's probably a combo of
Sure.
it being very low budget, it being 1985,
Yeah.
it being the genre. But I think maybe you're right. I think there is some self aware elements to it all.
Because I found it very silly and in a good way. I don't mean that in a bad way. I mean like I felt like I was laughing with it, but
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 was
then
it
I
laughing?
also
This is the question.
I was laughing. I laughed out loud. Like even there was one quote where he said when he was like, "You killed my cat. Like you could have left me a note." And he was sort of like, "What would I say? Cat's dead. Details
Talk.
later." And I
Yeah.
that's really, it's a really
That
funny
was
line.
really weird. I felt really bad for Barbara Crampton's character Megan in that
Yeah.
sequence. So there's a scene where Herbert West shows up to Dan Kane's house looking to rent a room.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
Dan Kane's girlfriend Megan, Barbara Crampton, is there and is clearly giving him the signals, being like, "Don't just
Mm-mm.
accept this guy.
Mm-mm.
Like he's so weird. He's gonna kill your cat. Like
Yeah.
give it a think." And of course, the fucking guy is just like, "Well, I can't listen to my girlfriend. Here, give me your money. You're in." I was like, wow. First of all, like, was it that easy? Because you see this in movies all the time, where like if you're renting an apartment in the 80s or in the 70s, it was very
I,
easy.
there's no first and last. There's no like
There's
open
no
day.
checking. and
Nothing.
and from what my mom and my dad have both told me, because they were renting in Toronto in the 80s,
Uh-huh.
it was apparently harder back then. Like it was common practice to like bribe, to like give people extra money to like
Ooh,
secure apartments. Like it was just what you had to do.
that's really funny.
So this is not how it was, I don't think. But
Yeah,
you
that
know,
makes sense because honestly, like it felt ridiculous.
it was
I remember
ridiculous.
I had when I once got an apartment, like a landlord wanted to check my bag to confirm that I didn't have any like NSFs,
What are NSFs?
like not enough funds or whatever. No, not
Oh, I
and
mean,
not
that
so much
seems a little invasive,
I
but
know exactly, but I wanted the apartment, so I did it.
yeah, if you want the apartment, you gotta get the
Yeah,
apartment. And that's exactly what happened here. Mr. West really wanted the apartment. He says,
yeah.
"I'm gonna be quiet. I'm not gonna get in your way. I won't kill your cat." And so
I
they took
love
him
Rufus.
in.
I had a cat named Rufus when I was a little kid, and it felt very connected to the cat.
Oh yeah, the cat's name was Rufus, and I
Yeah,
was confused the whole time. I was like, "That is a dog's name. That is not a cat's name." But go off. But
go off.
apparently I was wrong. You did
I
have a
did.
cat named
I
Rufus,
did. I really
so
did.
what the fuck do I know? What did we think of Mr. Jeffrey Combs in the role of Herbert West? How did you feel about it?
So I thought he was like so much fun. Like I loved him in the role. I thought he was, but again, I thought he was incredibly silly. I thought
Hmm.
he was like really over the top. So again, like if they were going for serious, I'm supposed to be scared, not a great job. But if they're going for campy, winky 80s horror, on the money.
Yeah. And so do you have a theory of which they were trying to go for?
I really thought it was supposed to be campy
I think
because
so
of
too. I think so
just
too.
how even I loved even, oh my god, I think Herbert West was like such a great character too, when he like hits him across the back and he's like plagiarizer, like he's
He's such a little freak.
yeah, I just
Such
thought
a
I
dirty little
just
freak.
well
Yeah.
yeah, you're getting into it. No, just
Whoa, I
yeah,
am. That did just
yeah,
happen.
yeah, it's fine. He's
I'm
hot,
glad to...
and even the like yeah like the disembodied head like gonna eat her pussy was like, sorry, can I say that word?
I think you can.
Okay, well I did it. Like was the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen in my life, and I was like, the director and the writer had to be like giggling backstage.
You just could not get it. We will get into that ending sequence at some point, but like you could not do that today. I was so into I forgot about that scene, and then I got to it and I was like, oh god, Jules is not gonna appreciate this.
No, I
But
gotta say,
and nor should you. It's nothing to be appreciated. That poor, and she must have been
ugh,
topless for hours. She was probably so cold.
hours. Yeah, it would look like a cold room, you know. And I also another reason why I think it's campy, but maybe this is just like a me thing, is Megan is the character's name, I'm pretty sure,
Yeah,
keeps calling her father daddy, which I hate any adults that calls their father daddy. Like it brings up stuff
it's
for me.
weird.
And she
Yeah.
would say it like, daddy, daddy, no, daddy, 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 please. I was like, this has to be on. Like, why is she
I
saying?
think in the 80s it was more of a thing because I have lots, and as you say that, like I can think of tons of horror movies that do the same thing,
Okay,
of
okay,
people
fair.
calling their father, like their older father's daddy in
Oh,
these
there's
movies.
something
I
about
want to argue and say it maybe have been more of a thing at the time, but
okay.
also this movie was gross, so I don't
Oh
know.
yeah, the creep factor of the saying daddy too much was like, I don't know, like daddy will
Daddy.
understand. I'll just tell daddy, he'll understand.
She was
Stop.
not. Let's get into her now. So
Yeah.
Barbara Crampton in the role of Megan Halsey. I
Mhm.
would not say this was the most active a female character has ever been in the history of horror. What do you think about that?
No, it's not. We're not passing any Bechdel tests here.
No.
No,
Oh, absolutely not. She was extremely passive, always in trouble,
always in perilous.
never able to do anything sort of for herself.
And always kind of stupid. Like
Yeah.
everything was just too scary for her. Even when she went to like see her father, when he was like she went inside and she just went like, oh, and then like the doctor had to be like, he's been lobotomized. I was like, man, she doesn't know anything. She can't even like just nothing.
Hmm.
I don't know.
Yeah, and when her father gets turned into a bit of a zombie,
Hmm.
and the other and the man that's trying to treat him before he lobotomizes him is like,
Yes,
"This is what
yes,
we're gonna do with the brain," and she's like, "I don't want to know, just
yes.
take him
Listen,
away." Yeah,
exactly.
yeah,
Like I don't even know. Like she just was such a. I felt bad. It was such a bad character. Obviously, this was like so written and directed by men. They were just like, we just need a pair of tits to be around. That's
yes,
what it felt like.
yes, and they got more than that. They got an
Yeah,
icon in the
yeah.
making, but they definitely did not. They did not show her justice in this
Utilize her.
film.
No, not at all.
Not at all. Which is too bad because it was such an interesting movie, and if they had done more with her, it could have been
Mhm.
like even better.
Well, and I was kind of excited because at the beginning with the whole cat and whatever, she walked in on the cat coming back to life. So I thought she was going to be a part of this somehow. I
Yeah,
thought she was going to be kind of the moral compass to these doctors. So
yeah.
I was like kind of intrigued, and then it was like nope, nope. She's just like around, like
Or bring her into the fold. Like she can help. Like
that's
she
what
can
I
help with
mean.
the experiments
That's
and
what I thought
like
she was
help
gonna
you
do.
kill people and like bring her in.
Oh,
But
like make
no,
her
they
eat.
couldn't.
Yeah.
But you know what? Why would you? Because I have a theory that Dan and Herbert had a thing going on. Um,
Oh.
well, I don't. It's not a real theory. But why don't we get
Okay.
into the character of Dan Kane? So, would you say that Dan Kane or Doctor Dan Kane was
Oh,
the protagonist of this film?
you see, I think, I think so. Even though, I don't know, because Howard West is that Howard?
Herbert.
Herbert. Thank you. Sorry, Herbert West was the smart one, and also when the antagonist is doing really antagonisty things, it's more to West than to the other guy.
I kind of feel like West is also a bit of the antagonist, but at the same time, he's very proactive and making things happen.
Yeah,
So
I thought he was but I see, I thought it was like a switcheroo, like, you thought he was gonna be the antagonist, and then actually he's like
he takes the reins himself.
Yeah.
He's he's very decisive. He like gets what he needs to get done. I don't understand completely why Dan goes along with it. Why do you think it is? Like, why do
I
you think
think
he
it's
so
because
quickly gets Dan to come along for the ride?
if this was real, this like serum, you could like by testing it even more, you could save lives.
Oh yeah, and these are doctors. Like Dan,
Yeah.
I think was it Dan? Does he like try to save someone too much, and the doctor's like, a good doctor knows when to give up?
Yes, that's one of the first scenes.
It's one
And
of the first
also
scenes. Yeah,
Dan does the right thing by going to the dean and being like, he's discovered this thing and I've seen it. It really works and we should explore it. And the dean's like, you're crazy and can't be with my daughter, you know?
yeah.
So I think he was like, he was really trying to do the good of this reanimation
Yeah,
boom.
well, I think maybe they're trying to show like two sort of opposite ends of the spectrum here. You have one man who like all he cares about is saving people and helping people and
Yeah.
like using his powers for good. And that's
Yes.
why he's interested in the serum. And then on the other hand, you have someone that's really like driven and passionate about like science and willing to put people in danger
That's
for the
right.
sake of progress.
That's right.
And sort of they both come at it from two very different perspectives, but they wanted enough to sort of pursue it together.
Yeah.
I felt like there was some subtextual, non on purpose, homosexual
I uh,
dynamics at play.
I did not feel that, but now that you say it, I totally get it. Even or sorry, especially with the whole Megan hating him
Yeah,
and being
the
like, I don't
jealousy.
like him, the jealousy. I don't want him around. He makes my skin crawl, like all that kind of
Yeah,
stuff. Like
yeah.
that. If there is a gay subtext, I would totally get that even more.
Well, there's a scene where the first person, I forget the name, but the first corpse that they bring back to life breaks down a door and accidentally kills or
Hmm.
almost kills her father.
Oh, he does kill him.
He does, yeah, but I don't think that's what kills him. I think
Oh,
he
right.
then attacks him more and more, and
Oh,
then he
yes, you're
dies.
right. Sorry. Yes, yes, yes. Yes.
Um, and in the process of that older man getting murdered, like uh, Dr. Dan and Dr. Herbert are like kind of collapsed onto each other and like they're holding each other and they're like very intimate. Do you remember this at all?
Oh, I do, but I didn't notice that, and I wasn't. I guess I wasn't like looking good enough.
And they're like so quick to sort of go all in together and to
Uh,
like murder together and to try to save. I don't know. It happened so quickly, and also for someone that's creepy, which Herbert West is, they were very quick to make creepy people in this movie be creepy towards women, and there was
yeah,
not an instance where he was creepy towards her. In fact, he just hated her. He was just like, "Get out of my room!
he
You're
thought she was
annoying."
useless, and
Yeah,
and to
she
be fair,
was.
she was in the movie, right? She was useless, but you're
Yeah,
totally right. Like the other creepy guy was like, she's so beautiful, she's aged so well.
yeah, yeah. It's terrifying.
He needed to go.
He needed to go. I thought he was really scary. Do you remember the name of this doctor? Should I look it up really quick?
Look it up because I don't remember at all. But I will say, what did he have power of hypnosis? Because it twice looked like he was hypnotizing people. Because like
The the doctor?
the
The
really bad
teacher?
doctor, because like the teacher doctor, yeah. Because at first he was like with the dean, and the dean was like, no, like he's a fine boy, no, like he's a really like plucky youngster or whatever. And then he like there was like this big scene just on his face where his eyes are really wide, and he's like, he's dangerous, he will hurt your daughter, and he
Oh,
was
I don't
like, hurt my
remember, but you're
daughter.
probably right.
And then another time he did it with Mr. West. He was like, "You
Mr.
will give
West.
me this. You will give me this. You will be my assistant, and I will take credit." And then like he starts crying because he's like gonna do it, and then he kills him.
See, I don't agree. I think that he just knew that he was being blackmailed in that second
Okay.
situation.
Yeah.
He
Yeah.
was like, "You can either give me complete credit for all this, or you're going to jail." Okay, so his name is in real life David Gale, and he plays Dr. Carl Hill. Dr. Carl Hill, I think, does become sort of the antagonistic monster in this movie.
Yeah.
He is the famous or very iconic like head on a tray. Like that's kind of what he's known for, and
Oh
it's
yeah.
like
Yeah. Fabulous.
a
Yeah.
famous part of the poster. And I think he's like genuinely pretty scary as a severed head in moments.
Yeah,
The
but though
performance is like fairly chilling.
it is chilling, but then there's moments of like real goofiness where the
Yeah.
body's like hitting a wall and stuff.
Yeah, or, yeah, definitely. But like, there are moments where he's like so pissed and just like
Yeah.
so full of anger. I don't know. He freaks me out. And then that character is in the second one. And the second one, I have seen and I rewatched for this. Definitely a low, like, not at the same bar as the first.
Okay.
But he's scary in that too. There's just the guy
Wait,
really brings it, David
is he a
Gale.
disembodied head again in the second one?
Yes, yeah, yeah. I
Right.
believe yes. So thank you, David Gale. I saw that his name was David Gale, and I got kind of confused because my
Mhm.
grandmother was on a reality cooking show in like the late '90s in Canada called
Yeah.
Loving Spoonfuls, and I remember the host of that show. His name was David Gale, and I was like, could it be the
Whoa.
same man? It was not the
I
same
know,
man,
I don't think so. That would
but
be a real fall from grace for him. Not
well, I
that
don't know, a Canadian actor that did this like weird thing in the '90s, having done this one weird horror movie in the '80s. It could have been.
true. And for folks, not just your grandmother was in it. Josh also has starring role.
Oh my god! So yeah, if you go on to Prime Video and look up "Loving Spoonfuls," it is my
And the
first.
guy was weirdly flirting with your grandmother. It's very
Yeah,
uncomfortable.
and he's very gay too. So I think that was just sort of his
Oh,
move. I think it was like his like
so
yeah, it was his thing. I don't
yeah.
know.
Okay. I mean, do whatever you want. You're an adult.
Um. Yeah, so as it progresses, did you ever feel scared watching this film? No way.
I'm gonna go with that. You know what? I felt like creeped out when he skulled, like capped that guy in the teaching. That like grossed me out. Capped, sorry. Scalped is what I meant to say. Oh fuck.
Capped is better.
Capped him. Oh
And that
god.
was like just in like the classroom, right? That was
Yeah, that
just
freaks
like
out.
a
That, like
gross in
unnerved
class.
me, I will say. And I felt very unnerved with the head sucking on the tits, but that was probably for
That
not
was
for being scared.
heinous.
Yeah, it was just from being like,
Heinous and the anus, which
yeah, it
I've been
was
told I can't say. What do you think?
the anus. It sounds like
Yeah.
a weird like fissure in your butt.
A fisher?
Like it's a cut, it's like a little cut.
Oh, I wish you hadn't said that.
Yeah, sorry.
I thought you meant like a fisherman's friend.
Oh, that sounds spicy.
Ooh, or like the
Ooh.
fisherman from Know What You Did Last Summer.
Oh,
So you
yeah,
know there's
Will
I Know What You Did
Densai.
Last Summer, the TV show right now?
I do, but I haven't watched it. Yeah.
I've only seen one episode and like it, but
Oh.
our co-friend Samantha is really into it.
Uh-huh.
I'm just mad that there's no fisherman in it.
No. What? There has to be a fisherman in it.
I don't know. I've not seen very much of it, but to what I understand, there kind of isn't. It's just like
That bums me out.
teens being scared.
And
I don't know.
sexy, probably.
Yeah, I would say so too. But I have read the book, and to what I recall, the book is not really a slasher either. That was kind of just something that happened for the '90s movie. So
Oh, okay.
maybe that's how it's supposed to be. So yeah, there was supposed to be a number of unmade sequels to this over the years, including what we're going to talk about today, which is House of Re-Animator. But there was also going to be another fourth in development by the name of Island of Re-Animator, which was going to sort of have an island of Dr. Moreau sort of inspiration energy.
Oh Lord,
Yeah.
because that
Before
movie was wild.
I've never seen it. Tell me about it.
I've never seen it either. I've heard that how did this get made, and it's such an infamous movie.
Okay, is it racist? Because it gives me racist energy from afar.
No, it's not racist. It's just like it's a Marlon
Oh.
Brando film and he was like
Oh.
mental nuts. He
Oh,
refused to like
yeah.
own the script, and like they made a
I,
documentary about it because it was like
I've
so
heard this
doomed.
episode.
Yeah.
I feel like that was not that. I feel like that was like the '90s remake or something.
There. Oh,
Because
you're
the one that they
probably
were
right.
talking
That
about
was
was
the
like in the
original.
'90s, and I feel like there was like an older
You're right.
film.
Okay, there probably was an original. You're right. I think this was the remake. That's the one that's like crazy.
I did listen to that. How did this get made? And it sounds insane. And
Yeah.
who was talking to him? Some girl that was in it was
Bruza
talking.
Balk.
For Bulk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Over. And he's like, "Don't worry, we got paid. Like this is nothing. This movie sucks. Like don't even
Yeah,
worry about
yeah.
it.
She wanted to
You're
talk to him
beautiful."
about their roles. She was like, "Can we like get into it? Can I talk to you about, what you're thinking?" And he's like, "Absolutely not. Like, listen to me, baby. Like, this does not matter. This is bullshit."
He literally didn't read any of his lines like that.
What a
He told
dick.
me that. He's like, I'm just not
What a
gonna. I know, what a
monster.
dick. Yeah,
Well, it did sound pretty bad.
I definitely want to watch it.
So as I mentioned, yes, there was a number 2, there was a number 3,
Mhm.
and there was also a Re-Animator the musical, an American stage play of it that first happened in 2011 at the Steve Allen Theater in Los Angeles, California. It starred Graham Skipper, who's a friend of the Dread Podcast Network originally,
Nice.
and eventually would go on to win the LA Weekly Award for Best Musical. Variety at the time said that they had never seen anything like it since Little Shop of Horrors.
Well,
And
yeah,
uh
that's what I assumed it would be like, is like a Little Shop of Horrors mixed with an Evil Dead the musical moments.
yeah, so I wanted to get into that.
Hmm.
It sounds to me like Re-Animator the musical is to LA what Evil Dead the musical was to Toronto. If I'm not fully incorrect, I think Evil Dead the musical began in Toronto. Like I think this is its home.
Oh,
Yeah, did you ever get to see it?
I didn't, and I'm mad I didn't get to see it because it was such a
You never
phenomenon.
saw it? That's
I
crazy to me.
know. I know. It was such a like everyone did it was such a phenomenon, but I just kind of missed the boat. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm mad I did.
We That's so funny. I loved it. And in fact, I remember I used to listen to the music like fairly like I had that going on in the background. I'm a big fan of Evil Dead the musical. I think it kind of went to off Broadway for a little while and just like kind of didn't happen, which is too bad.
Oh.
But it's really good and it does sort of come back every once in a while. I think it's happening in Oshawa at some point. And
I would
someone
go.
would you go? I would kind of go
I
too.
would go.
I know someone that I believe is in it. Her name is Allie Chappell. She is in the horror world. We are a
Oh.
stan, and I would see her in it.
I would
So keep that
absolutely go.
on the docket, Oshawa. So can I maybe give you a bit of a seminar on the
Please.
unmade House of Re-Animator?
I would love a seminar.
Holy crap! Keep it in your pants.
Okay.
So, director of part 2 and part 3, Brian Uzina, I'm sorry if I'm not saying that correct,
Mm.
originally was developing a more of a Dr. Moreau inspired sequel that was
Mhm.
going to be titled Island of Re-Animator. But that was never meant to be. And then years and years passed by, and a whole new fourth film was in development by the title of House of Re-Animator. And the basic gist for House of Re-Animator was that Dr. Herbert West was going to be reanimating the President of the United States of America.
Oh my god.
Yeah, so he was going to be in the White House. Yeah, so this was going to be like a White House set House of Re-Animator. And it was going to supposedly be the first in a brand new trilogy of Herbert West stories. So Brian Uzina was attached. Writer Dennis Paoli was also on board to produce and I believe write. And do you have any guesses of who they had in mind or maybe even officialized to play the role of the president?
Oh my god, no, I'm very excited to find out though.
William H. Macy was
What?
yeah, to what I understand. I don't know how official this is, but this is what
I
has
would have
been reported.
never guessed William H. Macy. What?
Yeah, and this was 2006, and it was very, very much going to be inspired by the Bush administration.
Okay.
Because
Okay.
the creators and writers were very anti-Bush, they were very anti the Iraq War, and
Huh?
that was all kind of what was inspiring this new sort of reimagining of Re-Animator, which is kind
Wow.
of funny because as sad it is to say, right now where we're sitting, the Bush administration kind of feels quaint in comparison to what we've just survived with the whole Trump
I
fiasco.
gotta say though, I agree, and I think it's because Bush was just like better at being a nice face. Whereas if you really go into the things that he actually
Yeah.
did, though,
Oh,
it's
horrendous,
yeah,
horrendous.
he was
But
just like a
like,
better
it
figurehead
was
to
less
like the
stressful to survive,
disgusting.
though.
Yeah, absolutely,
Like as a civilian, like as a just a
yeah,
citizen, just hanging out. Like, I was less concerned for the apocalypse on a daily
abs-
basis.
absolutely. I always thought Bush was like a silly, dumb little man, and it was what was scary was going on behind the scenes. But
Yeah,
he was, whereas Trump is a horrible piece of garbage monster.
yeah, absolutely. So that's why thinking about this as like a satire or sort of a
Yeah,
reflection on the Bush administration, kind of is like, well, girl, just you
yeah,
wait
yeah,
another 10 years.
yeah.
And one of the reasons that this iteration didn't actually get made is because the Barack Obama administration kind of took over, and it just like didn't feel like the right time for this production, and then it just never happened, which is kind of too bad. There was some quasi-official promotional art that we will be adding to our socials that you'll be able to check out.
Ooh.
Yeah. And so, as I was saying, so the producers, even at the time, were kind of worried about ruffling feathers over the White House themes. And they didn't know if people were going to take it as just general political satire or if people were going to get like really angry about it.
Get all
So,
like, yeah, okay. Like, not our president.
well, yeah, which was even, you know, an issue back then to a lesser extent. But can you imagine like a zombie, like a scary zombie William H. Macy as W. Bush?
I think it's hilarious and amazing, and I'm really mad that didn't happen.
I know, me too. And to what I believe, this was going to be the first time that director Stuart Gordon, who directed the first film, which we have seen recently, was coming back to actually produce it. So the second film was not directed by Stuart Gordon. It was by the producer of the first one, David Yazima. I'm so sorry, everyone, that I'm saying that wrong. And then that person also directed the third, and the third one's from 2003 and takes place in a prison. So Herbert West is like a prison doctor, I believe, and doing weird experiments. I could be wrong. I saw it in 2003, so like don't be mad at me.
The concept of that.
Yeah, it's a prison sequel. It's like all very contained, which is I like a bottle episode.
Me too, especially in a horror movie.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Can you think of any like good bottled horror movies off the top of your head?
Well, I the first thing that I thought of, it's funny, is well, one, Shutter Island, even though it's not really a horror movie. Here's the thought of it, but not that it's great. But also Halloween H2O feels a little bit like that too.
Kind of, like a little bit. Not. I mean, it's all like there's a lot of mini locations within. I would say something like Cube is a little bit more in line with that.
Really, that, yeah.
Yeah, maybe kind of Dead End.
Yeah, totally.
Saw is a big one for sure.
Yeah.
That kind of thing. It's easier to do with plays than it is with film. Yeah, you might as well just do other locations.
You're kind of forced to do it in plays.
Brian Uzina. Yeah. As I said, Brian Uzina is the one that was the spearhead for the first film. He's sort of the reason the first film got made. He was the one that's like a big genre fan and really wanted to get Re-Animator done as a feature, but he did not direct it. He did go on to direct some interesting horror in the 80s after Re-Animator, including a very bizarre 1989 like satire horror by the name of Society. Have you heard of that?
No.
Yeah, I don't know much about it. I've never seen it, although our sister podcast right here on the Dread Podcast Network, Kim and Ket Stay Alive, maybe did a really good episode on Society lately. And you can check that out without actually having to see it.
Yes.
There's a scene in Society, the movie, where like a butthole has a face. And that is all I need to say to you. Yeah.
I never needed to know that, but thank you.
Yeah, butthole face.
Better than seeing it in real life. Yeah.
It's a butthole face and it's come to you from outer space and it's like pretty scary. Yeah. Before we wrap up, there was going to be the original sequel to Re-Animator, which was being thought out by Stuart Gordon. And it was going to have a very similar plot to House of Re-Animator, although in the late 80s, early 90s, they would have done the same thing, but with the Ronald Reagan administration instead of the George Bush administration.
I think that would almost be funnier.
I don't know very much about the Reagan administration. I know he's no good, though.
Horrible piece of garbage. And his wife was horrible, too.
I don't like to hear that. I don't like to hear that.
Yeah, whatever. But he just had a funnier voice, so I feel like it would help with the funniness.
Do you just know that because of Family Guy?
No, I mean, I know what Ronald Reagan sounds like.
I don't. I could not tell you.
Really?
Maybe not. Maybe if I heard it, I'd be like, oh, yeah.
Yeah, you would, for sure. I'm not going to do it because that's going to be horrible. I'm not doing it.
I would love to have Jules Bruyn doing a Ronald Reagan impersonation on this podcast on this day.
Yeah, no. It's not going to happen.
All right. So, anyway. Jules, how, on a scale from 1 to 10, what would? Oh no, let's say out of 5. What would you give the original Re-Animator?
So, okay. I like to give a scale on like how much I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna give it like a 3.5. That I did enjoy it.
That's pretty classique.
Yeah,
Would you ever
kind of
watch the
middle of the road.
sequels?
Yes. Now that you said the way you explained them, yeah. I didn't I assumed that Bride of was just gonna be like that poor woman getting like naked again, but with reanimation goo in her. But if it's not, then
No.
I'd watch. Oh, can I tell you one little fact that I have for you?
Yeah.
So again, my brother was like, "Do you know how they got the liquid to be so glowy?" And
Oh,
I
that's
was
a
like,
really good
"No."
question.
And he was like, "It's the insides of a glow stick."
Oh, of
I know,
course.
right?
I mean, but I still don't know how they would have. I still don't know the inner workings of the inside of a glow stick, to be
No,
honest with
but I
you.
mean, all they did was got a bunch of glow sticks and just opened them up so that it would be glowy.
It does look exactly like
It
that.
does. I made me laugh. I was like, of course that's what it is.
I don't know about the first one, but the second one actually had its world premiere at the Toronto International Film Festival in 1990.
Whoa.
I know, isn't that cool?
That is cool. What would you give it out of 5, sorry.
I have to give this one a 4.
Mm-hmm.
I have to give this one a 4. It's just such a classique,
Yeah.
right? It's
Yeah.
just so
Yeah.
good, and it's scary, it's funny, it's silly. It's just and the cast is so good,
And honestly, the effects are so great. Like I just
and the effects are incredible.
yeah.
Am I? I'm gonna look this up right now. So there was a famous special effects person from the 80s that went by the name of Screaming Mad George, and I think he did the effects for this. Give me a sec.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe not, because I'm not finding it on Wikipedia. But yeah,
Okay.
he did do Society, and I feel like I think he did this as well. Yeah, there was this famous like special effects artist from the 80s that went by the name of Screaming Mad George that did a bunch of these 80s horror movies. And he's definitely someone that you want to investigate because he's quite the personality.
Yeah. Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, I looked it up. Who did the special effects for Reanimator? It says Toby Dublin.
Well,
Dublin.
we don't know her.
Yeah.
So
Sorry. Never mind.
sorry, Screaming Mad
George.
Bull. Yeah, George. Wow, I almost insulted him. That was bad.
How dare you? Okay. Well,
How
yeah.
dare I? Yeah, so that's it pretty much for House of Re-Animator. Do we think in our hearts of hearts, because what we decide goes,
Of course.
that this is ever going to happen? Do we think we're going to get to see House of Re-Animator in the future?
You know, I would say no, but I think because it is such a classic, I could see them knowing that it's going to get views because of this like cult
Mm-hmm.
classicness of it all. So
Mm-hmm.
I think it's possible that they could kind of revamp the franchise.
I think so too. I don't think we're ever going to see House of Re-Animator or any
Right.
kind of canon sequel, but
Mm-hmm.
I'm absolutely flabbergasted that we haven't seen a reboot or a remake of some kind yet on
Yeah.
this classic franchise. We've seen things a whole lot less famous get revisited, so I don't know why this one hasn't yet, and I would like to see it happen.
Yeah.
In the inevitability that this does get rebooted, who do we want to see in the role
Oh
of
my
Mr. Herbert
gosh.
West?
Oh my gosh.
I know, it's a good question, right?
It's
We
a
kind of
great
got some of
question.
these answers earlier when we thought about Joshua Corngott's type.
You're right. I guess it could be any of them. I mean, I think that out of those guys, Elijah Wood is really good at
Elijah
being.
Wood would do so good, although he's supposed to be um a student, right? He's supposed to be like
Oh, you're right. But it's a medical student, so they are older.
I know, but Elijah Wood is like
Yeah, 100.
45.
I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
Um,
I don't really
huh.
know who young people are these days. Like
You know who could be that the guy who was in I think he's so hot. He was in the new Halloween Kills. He's like the boyfriend in Halloween Kills.
Oh yeah, that's
And
an
then
interesting pick.
he's also in Love, the show. Anyways, I think
Oh,
he's kind of
you
cool.
knew of him from Love? That's so funny.
Yeah. I mean not Love. Oh my god, not Love. Sorry. I meant You, the show, which is way more
Oh, he's
embarrassing.
on.
Wait.
That's. I'm gonna say honestly, Jules. That's less embarrassing.
Thank you. Okay, good.
Yeah,
Yes, I really liked this season of You. Um
I like it.
Anyways, he was in it.
You know who I think should do it?
Yeah, please.
All right, I have to look this person up. Um, because I don't know the name, but I think it's gonna be a good one. Are you excited?
Of course.
Are you like nervous as it's gonna blow your pick out of the water?
I mean, I know it's going to. but I'm not going to be offended.
Okay, I keep putting this person in all of my reboots, but I think I don't know why I see it. Have you watched the new One Day at a Time on Netflix? 'Cause I'm
No, the
obsessed
one
with
with
it.
I know you are, but I haven't. Yeah.
Okay, so there's like the queer daughter on it. Her name in real life is Isabella Gomez. If you know her, look into her. She's incredible, and I think she would be a really good Henrietta West or something.
Oh, I love that you're making it a girl and I suck at making it.
I know, right?
Right.
Aren't you embarrassed that you didn't think of it
You
first?
did that to me because you were like, "What's my type?" I hate you. I also want to say sorry. That the guy that I was saying his name is Dylan Arnold. So just so that people.
Oh, I can only see him in the Halloween movies, which I didn't think he was so incredible in, but
No, he was just really good in You. And then I rewatched the Halloween movie recently, and I was like, he's like a fun horror guy.
You rewatched Halloween Kills?
I did.
Oh my god!
I
So
know.
people are not aware because the
Didn't
episode
post it.
didn't come out, but me and Jules did end up seeing Halloween Kills together. It's a very
Yes.
polarizing movie in the world of horror.
That's interesting. I thought it was so fun.
I loved it too. I gave it a solid 3.5 stars on
Yeah.
Dread Central officially, so I
Wow.
can't take that back.
That's right. It's in fucking paper. Well, not paper, but
It's in blood.
yeah,
It's in
right.
blood.
Yes.
It's in bloody
I
blood.
definitely threw my vibe. It was fun. It was a fun movie.
I love that it held up on your second watch.
Yeah, it did. Totally held up.
And it wasn't just like us having fun in a movie theater, which could have been the thing.
Mm-hmm. That's true.
Jules, I'm done.
Okay.
If you want to be found in the world,
Okay,
where would you be found?
You could find me.
How would we find you?
I mean, you could find me on Instagram if you want to. It's a very long username. It's Jules Rules Your World, but with an underscore in between every word.
I love that. And is your spelt like normally your?
It is. But it's not. Sorry,
Okay.
It's not. Yeah, it's the regular. It's the right.
It's not you are.
No.
Yeah.
It's yeah.
Jules rules your world. And if you live in Toronto, that might sound familiar. You may have seen that in public bathrooms.
At places like a child.
You know what I write? Books.
Oh,
do you want to explain that story to the developmental audience?
Our friend. I don't know if I should say.
I don't want to say our friend.
Bah. Our friend, who's an amazing, wonderful person. I don't know if she wants to be named though.
Who are we talking about?
Tess.
Oh, this is Tess. Hi, Tess.
Hi, Tess.
It is.
I love him. Like, I don't want to say her name. She dated this guy who was like a real piece of shit. And he was awful. And he would like tag the city, and his tag was books, because then if people would be like, "What do you write?" He'd be like, "I write books."
But you're really depending on people to ask you what you write rather than what you tag or what you, like. Is that exactly the way people ask? Was that the language?
Way. There's no.
What do you write? Books.
Yeah,
and then even if you get to say that once, like, is it worth it?
No.
I will tell you, I have seen books tagged all around the city of Toronto.
I have too. He really did do it.
You know what? Gotta give it to Books.
Give it to Books.
Because he can write that one word.
He knows how to spell it so good.
And it's just in like, it's always it's not even in graffiti. It's always in like silver marker.
Yeah.
You know that one kind of silver marker that's up truly heinous in the anus? You know that one type of silver marker that I'm talking about?
The smell is like palpable.
It's horrifying. It's like, what is this? I'm like, if I get this on my skin, is it gonna like melt through me? What is this?
It's like mercury. Yeah, totally.
Yeah, it's like pure mercury. It's kind of the energy that it gives me.
I know exactly what pen you're talking about.
All right, well, thank you so much for listening, and we'll be back with another episode of Development Hell.
Thank you for listening to the Dread Podcast Network.